The United States military has long grappled with a challenging scenario. Can America fight and win two major wars simultaneously? This isn't just a theoretical exercise. The Pentagon has been preparing for this scenario for decades. They call it the two-war doctrine. It's a strategy that aims to maintain enough military might to fight two major conflicts at once. The idea is to deter potential adversaries from taking advantage of America's engagement in one war to start another. But in today's world, this doctrine is being put to the test like never before. China and Russia are the two potential adversaries that most concern US military planners. Both are nuclear powers with large, modernizing militaries. They're also increasingly assertive on the global stage. The possibility of confronting both at once is a nightmare scenario for the US. That's why the Pentagon takes this possibility so seriously. The United States military is a force to be reckoned with. It's the most powerful and technologically advanced fighting force in the world. The US spends more on defense than the next several countries combined. This massive investment translates into a military with global reach and unparalleled capabilities. But even the mightiest military has its limits. Fighting two major wars at once would push those limits to the breaking point. The US military is already stretched thin with ongoing operations around the world. Adding two major conflicts to the mix would be a monumental challenge. It would require mobilizing reserves, ramping up production of weapons and supplies, and potentially even reinstating the draft. One of America's greatest military strengths is its ability to project power globally. The US has a network of bases around the world. It can deploy forces quickly to almost any hotspot. This gives the US a significant advantage in responding to crises. But it also means that American forces are spread out. In a two-war scenario, concentrating forces where they're needed most would be a major logistical challenge. Technology is another area where the US military excels. From precision-guided munitions to advanced surveillance systems, American forces have a technological edge. But in a prolonged conflict against peer adversaries, maintaining this edge would be difficult. Both China and Russia have been investing heavily in military technology. China's military has undergone a remarkable transformation in recent years. Gone are the days when the People's Liberation Army relied on sheer numbers alone. Today, China boasts a modern, well-equipped fighting force. It's a military that's increasingly capable of challenging US dominance, especially in Asia. China's defense spending has skyrocketed, second only to the United States. Chinese military analysts, one area where China has made significant strides is in its navy. The People's Liberation Army Navy plan is now the largest in the world by number of ships. China has been churning out new vessels at an astonishing rate. This includes aircraft carriers, destroyers, and submarines. The goal is clear: to project power beyond China's shores and challenge US naval supremacy in the Pacific. China's Air Force has also seen major upgrades. It now fields advanced fighter jets, including stealth aircraft. China has also invested heavily in missile technology. Its arsenal includes carrier-killer anti-ship ballistic missiles. These weapons are designed to keep US aircraft carriers at bay. China's focus on area denial capabilities poses a significant challenge to US military planners. In a conflict with the US, China would likely use these asymmetric capabilities to level the playing field. Russia may no longer be the superpower it was during the Cold War, but it remains a formidable military force. Russia has been modernizing its armed forces for years. It's focused on developing new weapons systems and improving its conventional capabilities. While its military is smaller than the Soviet-era Red Army, it's more professional and better equipped. Russian military strategist, one area where Russia excels is in its nuclear arsenal. Russia has the world's largest nuclear stockpile. This includes a variety of delivery systems from ICBMs to submarine-launched missiles. Russia's nuclear deterrent remains a cornerstone of its military strategy. It ensures that any conflict with Russia carries the risk of escalating to nuclear war. This is a sobering reality that US planners must always keep in mind. Russia has also invested heavily in electronic warfare capabilities. These systems are designed to jam enemy communications and disrupt GPS signals. In a conflict, Russia could use these capabilities to blind and confuse US forces. Russia has demonstrated the effectiveness of these systems in conflicts like Ukraine. They represent a significant challenge to US military superiority. Another area where Russia poses a threat is in its long-range precision strike capabilities. Russia has developed advanced cruise missiles and other weapons that can hit targets at great distances. Section 5. Battling on two fronts, strategies and challenges. Fighting a war on two fronts is a nightmare scenario for any military. For the United States, facing both China and Russia simultaneously would be an unprecedented challenge. It would require careful strategy, immense resources, and no small amount of luck. The key question is, how would the US allocate its forces and resources? One potential strategy would be to focus on defeating one enemy quickly while holding off the other. This approach, known as defeat then pivot, has historical precedent. The US used a similar strategy in World War II, focusing on defeating Germany before turning its full attention to Japan. In a modern context, this might mean concentrating forces against China in the Pacific while holding a defensive line in Europe against Russia. Another approach could be to fight limited wars on both fronts simultaneously. This strategy would aim to prevent either adversary from achieving a decisive victory. It would involve carefully managing resources and relying heavily on allies. The goal would be to drag out the conflicts until diplomatic solutions could be found. This approach carries significant risks, as it could lead to a prolonged war of attrition. Section 6. The role of allies, NATO and beyond. Allies play a crucial role in major conflicts, especially if the US is fighting on two fronts. America's alliances are strategic assets. NATO is vital in any conflict with Russia. Its combined strength offsets US resource strain, allowing focus on the Pacific theater. But relying on allies has challenges. Many NATO countries have underinvested in their militaries, raising questions about their readiness. European NATO members would be on the front lines, shouldering a significant burden. The US would need to provide support while dealing with China.
In Asia, the situation is complex. The US has strong allies like Japan, South Korea, and Australia. They could provide crucial support in a conflict with China. Potential flashpoints like Taiwan could draw the US into war. Managing alliances and conflict zones is a delicate balancing act. Intensive diplomacy is crucial for securing support or neutrality. Diplomacy is as important as the military campaign in determining outcomes.
Technology, the great equalizer or divider. In modern warfare, technology often makes the difference. The US has long held a technological edge, but a two-front war against China and Russia would test this. Both nations have invested heavily in military tech. They've developed systems to counter US capabilities.
Cyber warfare is a major concern. China and Russia have sophisticated cyber capabilities. They could disrupt US military communications and infrastructure.
Space is another key battleground. Satellites are crucial for military operations. China and Russia are developing anti-satellite weapons. This could hamper America's ability to coordinate forces. Section 8. Economic warfare, the hidden battlefield. While military confrontations grab headlines, economic warfare could be just as decisive in a global conflict. The United States, China, and Russia are all major economic powers. Each has the ability to inflict significant damage on the others through economic means. Sanctions, trade restrictions, and financial warfare would all play a role. The economic front of a two-war scenario could be just as complex and challenging as the military one. One key area of economic warfare would be control of vital resources. Oil, rare earth minerals, and other strategic materials could become weapons in themselves. Cutting off an enemy's access to these resources could cripple their war effort. At the same time, securing stable supplies for oneself and one's allies would be crucial. The global nature of modern supply chains makes this a particularly complex challenge. Financial warfare would also be a major factor. The US dollar's role as the world's reserve currency gives America significant leverage. It could use this to restrict adversaries' access to global financial systems. The outcome of this financial battle could have long-lasting effects on the global economic order. The side that best manages its domestic economy while disrupting its enemies could gain a significant advantage. Section 9. Diplomatic maneuvers averting catastrophe. Even as military forces clash, diplomacy would continue to play a vital role. In a two-front war scenario, diplomatic efforts would focus on several key areas. First would be attempts to de-escalate the conflicts and find peaceful resolutions. Second would be efforts to prevent the wars from spreading or drawing in more combatants. And third would be the complex task of managing alliances and neutral countries.
One of the most critical diplomatic challenges would be preventing nuclear escalation. With 3 nuclear powers involved, the risk of nuclear war would be ever present. Establishing clear communication channels and avoiding misunderstandings would be crucial. Diplomats would need to work tirelessly to ensure that even as conventional warfare raged, the nuclear threshold was not crossed. This would require delicate negotiations and ironclad assurances on all sides.
Another key area for diplomacy would be managing international organizations like the UN. Section 10. The future of global conflict lessons and preparations. The scenario of a two-front war against China and Russia is a sobering one. It highlights the complex challenges facing military planners and policymakers. While such a conflict remains hypothetical, the lessons drawn from considering it are very real. They shape military doctrine, diplomatic strategies, and global alliances. Understanding these potential conflicts helps us better prepare for an uncertain future. One key lesson is the importance of flexibility and adaptability. In a rapidly changing world, rigid military doctrines can quickly become obsolete. The US and its allies need to be prepared for a wide range of scenarios. This means investing in versatile capabilities and training for diverse situations. The ability to adapt could be the difference between victory and defeat in a future conflict. Another crucial takeaway is the interconnected nature of modern warfare.